Mayor is planning to bring in at the end of August. This is not giving anyone any time to change their car. And the value of people's cars, so if you wanted to trade in or sell your existing car, has plummeted as a result of this scheme, because who would want to buy a car that wasn't compliant?
Just interestingly enough, one of the things that I've been reading today is it's a statement from the Mayor's office. They were told by our reporter, correspondent Suzanne Mondonza, about your challenge, and it seems to be suggesting that you would be better advised to work with them to inform residents about something which was going to happen. How do you do both, Councillor? How do you both challenge something which I accept you believe to be misguided at best, at the same time as preparing residents for something that many people feel is inevitable?
I mean, I have to say, the amount of money TfL is already spending on telling residents the ULEZ is coming, I don't think anything we would do would make a significant difference on that. I think
that's different. No, telling somebody something is happening, as you well know, is very different to preparing them for what is going to happen. That's not the same thing.
Well, I mean, we're trying to stop the thing from happening. But
no, I understand. Just answer the one question for me, and then I'll leave you alone. Because you're trying to stop it, I accept that. You've put £400,000 and you've brilliantly put your argument in the way that other people have put their argument, and I really appreciate you coming onto the show today. What I'm saying is you are somebody who's elected, who's paid by the public purse. So as am I, as is the Mayor and TfL people, they work for the Mayor. And I'm saying it's really difficult because fundamentally you disagree with something. And you are challenging it on behalf of your constituents. Nevertheless, it may be that part of what you have to do is also prepare them for something that some people see as inevitable. How do you do both?
Well, I mean, I think actually the awareness that this challenge is doing and the arguments that we're having actually means people are far more aware of what's going on than I think they otherwise would be. So I think there's some value in and of itself in doing that. I mean, the thing is, we are not going to try and help put forward a scheme that we think is fundamentally flawed, doesn't make a material difference, and will affect our poorest residents and our struggling businesses. You know, the best way of dealing with this is to try and stop it. But I think people are increasingly aware if their car is over a certain age, if it's diesel or petrol, they're all looking it up on the TfL website.
I hope they are, because we want people to be informed whatever happens. Yeah, what happens now, Councillor? What's the next step? Just for my listeners and your residents, what happens now?
So we've now filed our application for judicial review. It now goes to a judge to decide if we have permission to continue. If the judge does give us permission to continue, then it would probably go to hearing. But I would say at any stage we're happy to engage with the Mayor to look at what other options there are and to try and work forward a sensible solution. No one really wants to spend taxpayers' money going to court. What we'd rather do is actually agree an objective, which is cleaner air in London, and then come up with suggestions that both us as boroughs and the Mayor as the Mayor of London can agree to.
I really appreciate you coming onto the show. I dare say we'll be speaking about this again. It is a very, very hot potato for London. As I say, I really appreciate you coming on. Conservative leader of Harrow Council, Paul Osborne, there talking about the expansion of ULEZ. Those were his thoughts. What are yours? 0800 731 2000.
BBC Radio London.
How many birds do we have in London?
Last year we counted 11 million birds, which is an incredible amount.
It's the right policy decision cleaning up air, but we've got to help Londoners get there.
And people are marching into the middle of London.
It's chaos, and all I can say is time for our government officials.
And you know, I am never shy in coming forward and having conversations about any of the difficult topics.
Your London and your life.
I could go on forever, Michael.
I've listened to you so many times. I understand exactly what you're saying.
BBC Radio London. News, information, and a place to talk.
Place to talk and a place to find out what's happening in our great city. Who knows more about our great city than Robert Elms? Robert Elms followed this show at 10 a.m. with some pretty decent music. Ty's in Sidcup. Morning to you, Ty.
Morning, Eddie. Firstly, I'd like to talk about the chap that was on earlier from Bromley. at 9 o'clock. Adrian, the vegan gentleman. Firstly, by 9 o'clock, kids are in school. People most probably are on the trains or wherever they need to be. So, what is the get out before 9 o'clock to see what the food is like? Secondly, I live in the London Borough of Bexley, who are also challenging this unit. Now, I have got a diesel car, which I literally don't drive because, or I do drive when I'm going to work. My work is carpet cleaning. I cannot possibly get a carpet cleaning industrial sized machine.
Ty, sorry for interrupting you. Are you walking?
I'm in Tooting Common right now.
Oh, you're in the common. Just do me a favour. Just keep talking and keep turning around. All right? And people are going to think you're dodgy.
I'm walking. I'm on the bench now.
Are you? All right. All right. You got a hood on your jacket? Have you got a hood? Have you got a scarf? Have you got? Okay, I'm just trying. It's the wind, you see. I'm really interested in what you've got to say.
Should I go and sit under the tree or something?
Yeah, that works. That always right. Hug it if you can, because then Mrs. Nestor, Adrian and Mrs. Nestor would have more respect for you if you hugged it.
Yeah, I'll do everything, but I just think that his whole argument was like pointless because it's people like us that are being affected. Now, let me give you a flat picture of what I do. From Sidcup where I live, I need to walk to the station, Sidcup station, get a tube, get a train, get the Northern Line, come to Tooting, pick up my vehicle. So I'm already doing my bit for the environment. So, it's not as if I'm not. And then pick up my vehicle, then go to work. I cannot lug that machine, around on the tube or the train. So I need a vehicle. Unfortunately, I got my vehicle in 2003, so it's not ULEZ compliant. It's like proper diesel guzzler. So this whole argument about
Can I use the emotive argument on you? We're not going to fall out. I don't know if we've ever spoken. I don't remember speaking to you. But it's lovely to speak to you. But let me do the emotive argument for you, yeah, and then you can get annoyed, and then we can make up, right? Which is it's inconvenient for you, but it's literally life or death for somebody else.
It is life or death for me because I'm a single mother. I'm a sole trader. I've been running my business for the last 21 years. My mortgage has gone up to £1,500 from £850. I've got asthma, so it's not as if I don't understand this entire.
ULEZ is for you then.
It is, but I also need to work. I can't afford a new car right now. I spoke on the radio last week. I need to go to the bank of mum and dad for them to loan me out some money so I can buy a new car, which is so inconvenient because my mortgage is like I said, from $850, I'm paying $50.
But it might save your life. You might not have to use that pump. You'll be around a lot longer for your child.
How am I supposed to work? I need to work as well. But, I need to lug that carpet cleaning machine around. I can't do it on the tube or train. So I'm already doing my bit where I'm using public transport. I swear to God, as you get on the tube, you will see how polluted the tube is. At the moment I'm out of it, my hands are black, my nose is not really black. So, maybe Sadiq Khan, who's also from Tooting, he needs to go and sit on the tube and see what it's really like to be travelling on the underground system as well.
Well, I don't know about the Mayor of London, but I certainly did come in via the Central Line every day, and I can attest to that. Listen, Ty, thank you for your passion. Much appreciated in response to Adrian, but that has effectively been our show. That's effectively been my week. So big is this subject, so passionate have the views been on the extension of ULEZ, and long may that continue, that passion. Who's right, who's wrong, I don't know, but 4 London councils have called for a judicial review. I'd like now to hear from you. 0800 731 2000.
From the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker,
play BBC Radio London,
and on your radio.
The sound of London is BBC Radio London.
At 9 with the latest for London, I'm Matthew Schofield. 5 Conservative-run councils are clubbing together to take legal action against the plan to expand the ultra-low emission zone across London from August. Bexley, Bromley, Harrow, Hillingdon and Surrey want a judicial review of the Mayor and TfL's proposals. Sadiq Khan claims around 4,000 Londoners a year die prematurely due to air pollution, and he's urged the councils to drop their legal challenge. But Hillingdon's leader Ian Edwards has told Eddie expanding the ULEZ isn't the answer to improving air quality.
I've not known public anger being expressed in the way that it is directly to me and through social media. And some of that anger is beginning to turn to outrage because the unfairness of this is being recognised by many people. The opposition to this is growing because it is the wrong solution to improving air quality in Outer London.
At least 23 London boroughs plan to raise council tax in April by the maximum they're allowed without holding a referendum. As BBC Radio London's Susanna Mendonça explains, they're the boroughs that are allowed to put up bills by 5%, mainly to fund social care.
That's an increase in terms of the council tax that goes to the borough itself of around £70 on a Band D council tax bill, but it doesn't take into account the full amount that people will be paying, because of course then there's the Mayor of London precept, which is £38 a year, so that goes on top of it. So you're looking at an average really of an increase of around £110 a year on an average Band D council tax bill for most of the boroughs.
Well, not every council's raising its bills by the maximum amount. It'll be less in Westminster, Tower Hamlets, Barnet and Kensington and Chelsea, but Croydon's been given special permission to put up bills by 15% after it was effectively declared bankrupt 3 times in 2 years. The Home Secretary's raised concerns with Lancashire Police after they revealed personal information about Nicola Bulley, the woman who disappeared 3 weeks ago while out walking her dog. The force has been widely criticised, not least by the Walthamstow MP Stella Creasy, for revealing she'd had significant struggles with alcohol and the menopause. The family of a 4-year-old girl who died in a gas explosion in Thornton Heath say 6 months on they're still homeless, sleeping on a relative's floor because the council hasn't yet found them a suitable property. Merton Council says it's continuing its efforts to find a home for Sahara Salman's family, but her mum says the wait feels like torture. The NHS Confederation, which represents health trusts, has warned the government must settle its pay dispute with nurses or wave goodbye to its pledge to cut waiting lists. Nurses at more than 100 hospitals are due to go on strike for 48 hours at the beginning of next month, the biggest walkout in their dispute so far. The Deputy Chief Executive of NHS Providers, Saffron Cordery, says that will put a strain on services.
What we will be seeing is a significant undermining of trusts' efforts to tackle that backlog of care, those waiting lists, and we know how disruptive and distressing that is for patients, but trusts will be doing everything they can to go ahead. But with this level of strike action, that's going to be incredibly difficult for them.
London Fashion Week begins today, dedicated to Dame Vivienne Westwood, who died in December. Yesterday, Kate Moss, Victoria Beckham, Stormzy and Helena Bonham Carter were among the famous faces who attended a memorial service for her at Southwark Cathedral. Over the next 5 days, London Fashion Week will feature 47 catwalk shows and also host Ukrainian Fashion Week, which has been displaced by the war.
I'm Katerina Christodoulou with BBC Radio London's weather. It is rather mild out there this morning, a lot of cloud around, but it will brighten up in places with some sunny spells. A few spots of drizzle vary on and off through the course of the day, with gusts of around 30 to 40 miles per hour. So it will be windy, with highs today of around 15 degrees Celsius.
For an update anytime, you can ask your smart speaker to play BBC News for London.
I'm James Hawley with the BBC Radio London Travel. First of all, the Woodford New Road, the A104, just north of the North Circular at Waterworks, is partly blocked because of a crash. The A12 is shut out of London in Harold Wood. A tree's come down between Gubbins Lane and Petersfield Avenue. Those are the closure points. And long delays on the A3 if you're heading or trying to get down to Guildford. It's because of overnight works which have overrun, and there's still no sign of the A3 reopening. First of all traffic's been taken off southbound onto the Wisley roundabout, the M25 interchange. You then put back onto the A3, but then it's closed from the Ockham Ripley exit all the way down to Guildford. Eastern Way, Thamesmead shut in both directions. Harrow Manor Way to Yarnton Way because of a crash, and onto the tubes, severe delay still on the Jubilee line. BBC Radio London, next travel 30 minutes.
Eddie Nesta, BBC
Radio London.
to you wherever you are, whatever you're doing. This is BBC Radio London. My name's Eddie. It is 5 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock on Friday, the 17th of February. Almost the entire show has been taken up with ULEZ expansion, which is going to be challenged by 5 councils, 4 of which are here in London. It's a big thing, whether you're environmentalist, whether you want to go about your business, whether your child has asthma. Up to 4,000 people died prematurely, says the Mayor of London. It has to come in, and it has to come in now. We've had what, from his perspective, are unhelpful and unnecessary interventions from the former Mayor of London, Boris Johnson, who was the first person, as far as my notes tell me, who looked at a scheme like this in 2013. Unite Union also have talked about it being not helpful for the people who work at Heathrow. Nevertheless, the Green Party says it should have been brought in a lot earlier, and I've spoken to Clean Air London this week as well, and the mother of a child who died 10 years ago this week, the only child to have poor air quality on her death certificate. So whatever your opinions, we'll make some time this hour to take more of your calls and find out what you think about what is the biggest story in London. 0800 731 2000. You can text 81333 starting your message with the word London, and your emails are welcome. Eddie, EDDIE at bbc.co.uk. Just seen Robert Elms. He's good to go. He's got his leggings on, so he's clearly ridden in today, and he will take up the reins and take you through from 10 through to 2 p.m. After Robert, it's Jamoke. He takes you through to the sports show, which is at 6 p.m. So I'm looking for your calls. Your texts are also welcome. 81333, starting your message with the word London, and you can email Eddie, EDDIE at bbc.co.uk.
are not going to try and help put forward a scheme that we think is fundamentally flawed, doesn't make a material difference, and will affect our poorest residents and our struggling businesses. The best way of dealing with this is to try and stop it.
And just in case you hadn't heard BBC Radio London and how much we've done on this subject this week, here was the Mayor speaking to me.
You've got a number of choices. One choice is to deny the science. One choice, because it's unarguable, is to accept the science and then to delay action. I think the right response is to take action. But I'll make this point, Eddie, and this is the important point. What is the price of a child losing their life prematurely? What is the price of around 4,000 premature deaths a year? What is the price of a mother having to do CPR on her daughter to bring her back to life? What is the price of children in our city having stunted lungs forever? What is the price of adults having illnesses ranging from asthma to cancer, from dementia to heart disease, directly attributable to air quality? We can do something about it, and I think we should.
Also, we heard yesterday from Zoe Garbett, Green Party councillor for the Dalston ward in Hackney, and ran to be Mayor of Hackney in 2022. She, by the way, is going to be taking on Sadiq Khan at the next mayoral election.
Yeah, so I'm hugely supportive of the expansion of ULEZ, and it's something that Greens in City Hall have been calling for since as early as 2016, and we were just disappointed to not seeing this expansion in the first wave of expansions brought in a few years ago. So yeah, we're just really excited to see this and want to support its kind of implementation and people's transition to be part of the this wide clean air zone, because it's this inequality that we've got currently that we need to address. And so it's about making sure that those boroughs have done everything they can to support this transition for people, rather than just having a knee-jerk reaction to not wanting this to be implemented.
So our reporter Barry Caffrey is out and about for us in Bromley today. Interestingly, if we would have had a couple of calls from Bromley, I think they're reacting to the fact that the vast majority of people that you've been able to catch this morning, Barry, have been, let's say, not enthusiastically welcoming of this particular scheme. Talk to us about what people have been telling you.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Eddie. I got down here at about 20 to 7 this morning, and I'm on the other end of Bromley High Street now, and I've been speaking to people all morning, and with the exception of one lady, Katerina, who I spoke to a little bit earlier, who actually works in the borough of Bromley but doesn't live here. She lives in a different part of London. She was in favour of the expansion of ULEZ, and she said that she thinks that something had to be done in order to combat air pollution. But everybody else I have spoke to this morning think that it is crazy to have the ULEZ expanded here. They feel that because this is a very green borough and it is an outer borough of London, they feel that the borough of Bromley should not be treated the same to, for example, Wandsworth or Lambeth or any of the inner London boroughs. They feel that because they're an outer London borough, that it's completely different out here. Some of the points, Eddie, that they've been saying to me too are things like that, for example, the London Underground, the tube does not come out here. While there is, of course, a train service that's relatively good, they say that, if that goes down, if there are strikes or anything like that, it can be really difficult for public transport. And the other thing they said is that with the buses here, while they do run, they often get stuck in traffic, and people do actually need their cars. I've been speaking to some of the market traders here too, Eddie, and some of them have been telling me that actually if they did have to, upgrade their older vehicles, well, it's going to be a huge amount of financial burden on them. And lots of people telling me this morning that actually this is just another tax, and with the rising in the cost of living and people struggling to pay their bills and just trying to make ends meet, it will be very difficult if this does come here. So I have to say the vast majority of people I've been speaking to today, both those that I've recorded and those that don't actually want things going out on air, they have all told me that they are really siding with the councils that are going to proceed with this legal challenge, and they do not think ULEZ should come here. And I really have struggled to try and find that other voice for people to, say that they're in agreement with it coming here. But let's just have a listen to some of the people I've been speaking to this morning.
I don't think we should be treated the same as inner cities that obviously have higher levels of pollution and vehicles, but out here I don't think we should. And also we are one of the greenest boroughs here, so I just don't feel we should be treated the same. And is there definitive proof anywhere of how far the levels are brought down from bringing it in? Because you don't see that anywhere. But no, I don't think it's really hard for everybody. It's just another tax. Everybody's just trying to, get through the day, pay their bills, and this is just another one. But where does it all go?
And if ULEZ was expanded here, how do you think it would go down among the community?
Well, I think it's going to hit a lot of people very hard. And a lot of people, there are people who have got older vehicles. Okay, we've got a lot of good transport links, so people maybe don't use their cars all the time. But elderly people might go out once a week in an older car, to do their shop. And it's going to hit them. And you'll find traders in the market here that are going to have to buy whole new vehicles because they can't afford to.
No, I don't agree with it.
Why not?
Because it's not fair on everybody. There's a lot of pressure on people with everything that's going on at the moment with gas and electric. It's another tax, isn't it?
What about the air pollution, though? What about people that would say, actually, we cannot have these older, more polluting vehicles?
I know what you're saying with the old vehicles. They've got to get rid of them. But if they can't afford it, what are they going to do? You can't even pay the gas and electric bills now without everything else.
Thank you, Barry, for fantastic work today. Really interesting, challenging. I can hear that. And to get that balance, which we kind of try to get. But fantastic work, Barry, out there for us in the borough of Bromley. Nigel's in Temple Fortune. Morning to you, Nigel.
Good morning. Well, I think I think Sadiq Khan's been a complete disaster for London. He's raking in millions of pounds for TfL, which is bankrupt over his ridiculous schemes. I think if you look at this very, very logically, there are so many people who are going to suffer as a result of this ULEZ expansion. And what Sadiq Khan hasn't told people, because perhaps he doesn't want to tell the truth, is that first of all, a number of oppositions to his scheme weren't counted, which is widely available from TfL, which has come out in the last 2 weeks. 5,000 people's votes weren't counted. The other thing to bear in mind, of course, is that there's many older vehicles that are 20 and 30 years old that are higher polluting that don't even come into the ULEZ scheme because they're exempt. But I think what's interesting, why doesn't Sadiq Khan tell Londoners that whilst he wants to tax people who have certain vehicles that don't fit the criteria, that certain vehicles owned by the Metropolitan Police, the London Ambulance and Fire Brigade, which aren't ULEZ compliant, are exempt? So does that mean that because they're emergency vehicles, they're better than yours or mine? And I drive an electric car. And Sadiq Khan now, in 3 years' time, to rake more money in, is going to reduce or remove, remove completely the subsidy granted to electric vehicles. So it's not about air quality, it's about money. For instance, I think that Sadiq Khan should spend more money on making London safer for women, on providing more social housing, which he goes on about, and getting the police back in order, which are in special measures. And the other thing, of course, which I find just fascinating, is why doesn't he actually speak to more Londoners and listen to concerns as raised by your reporter Barry Caffrey?
Well, I mean, look, the idea of the mayor coming in to the show, onto the station, the idea is that, he is doing that. He is hearing the views of Londoners. They are telling them exactly what they think. I think that the criticism or the comments that I've heard is the question is about whether or not he's listening. And I don't know, if you're a conviction politician and you believe that clean air is a fundamental right and it is the thing that you want to hang your reputation and your legacy on, then you will kick on. I suppose what we're doing is putting the voices of Londoners forward, and time will tell whether those reviews will work. Interesting that you think it's about money. I'm interested in what they might spend that money on. But thank you, Nigel, as always, for your opinions. This is BBC Radio London.
Yeah, I'm going to the party.
Hammersmith. Dun, 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 dun.